I want you to imagine for a second that you have joined the HR team of a global company, Infosys, TCS, whichever company, a global company. One day, your manager calls you and says, "Hey, we need to send someone to manage our new branch in Germany." You are excited until you realize the HR is, isn't just about handling new employees in Bangalore anymore. It is all about managing people in Berlin, Boston, or even Beijing. Welcome to the world of International Human Resource Management, or IHRM for short. So, what exactly is IHRM? Simply put, it is the management of people across borders. It is like domestic HRM, but with more complexity, more countries, and definitely more jet lag. It includes everything from hiring, training, paying, evaluating, and retaining employees who work in different parts of the world. But the trick is you cannot use a one size fits all policy. What works in Chennai or Kochi, it might not work in Chicago. Right. So let us first try to clear up the difference between a domestic HRM or DHRM and an international HRM or IHRM. Hmm? So, domestic HRM is like managing a cricket team that only plays in India. Hmm? But IHRM, it is like managing the team India in ICC World Cup. You have to play by different rules depending upon where you are playing. You also have to understand the local pitch, that is the culture, and you still have to keep your team motivated. While domestic HR deals with, say, familiar laws and cultures, international HRM deals with new languages, unfamiliar regulations, and sometimes cultural shock. Yes, even HR managers get cultural shock. When you compare these two, we see that both this domestic HRM and international HRM do similar work like hiring, training, appraising. But IHRM does all of this with an extra layer of complexity, that is the global level. Imagine handling performance reviews for someone in Tokyo. You are one day you are doing that, the next day you might be negotiating salary in Brazil, or explaining leave policies to someone from Sweden, all of this happening in one week. You will have to juggle between local strategy and global strategy and local adaptation. It is like trying to make biryani taste the same in Hyderabad and in London, while also using the ingredients that are available locally. It is going to be tough. Correct. So, to manage this sort of complexity, companies can use different approaches to international human resource management. There is the ethnocentric approach. What is this approach? This is where the parent company will send its own people to manage foreign branches, like sending someone from Kochi office to manage a branch in Paris, right? And that manager might still ask for sambar and rice. Then comes the polycentric approach. This approach is where local people are hired to manage local offices because, let's face it, nobody understands the local culture better than the locals. Can you imagine having an American manager in a organization in Kochi and whether they will be able to understand how things work in Kochi properly? No, right. So local staff will manage local operations. That kind of an approach is polycentric approach. That is why for especially like in some MNCs and all, even not even in some MNCs, in some organizations, you will see that they might have branches in say Saudi, Dubai and all, and you might be working in one of their branches in Bangalore, but our parents or relatives will be like, oh, so it will be easy for you to go to Dubai and work over there, no, in that branch. Why don't you do so? Because they don't send people across like that, right? They prefer local talent. Yeah, so that is the thing. To manage this complexity, another approach is the regiocentric approach. So that is region-based strategy. This is where companies group countries into regions and they will manage HRs regionally, like APAC or Asia Pacific, Americas, like that, regions. Hmm. Finally, there is also the geocentric approach. Okay, in this approach, this is the most, in all the different approaches to IHRM, this is the most global approach. It focuses on hiring the best talent, no matter from where that talent comes from. It could be from anywhere in the world. It just has to be the best talent available. So it is like, no matter where the person is from, uh, you can become an Avenger. Whether you are a gamma radiation affected doctor or a playboy philanthropist, it doesn't matter. Or a secret agent from Russia. Or, where was Black Widow from? Once again, forgot. Yeah, that kind of a thing. It's been a while since I saw Avengers. After Thanos' snap killed Iron Man, I've just lost that touch. Of course, each approach has its pros and cons. Ethnocentric method, they offer better control, but it might lead to cultural clashes. Polycentric allows local fit, but it will lack global consistency. Regiocentric will give it gives a nice little middle path. And geocentric is the most ideal because it is very good. We are talking about the best for the organization, but it is like running an Olympic relay. It needs perfect coordination, or you might drop the baton. Now, let us think about the actual activities or the key activities of IHRM. Okay, just like in domestic HR, IHRM also includes recruitment, training, performance management, compensation, employee relations, all sorts of things. Activities remain the same. What is different now? The scale is different. Domestic is done in the domestic domain, whereas IHRM is done on the global scale. Like, for example, when you're recruiting in IHRM, you have to think about the local talent availability versus the work visa requirements. And even the way interviews are conducted in that culture is also a little bit different. Training has to be adapted to different learning styles. Some cultures like group activities, whereas others might prefer lectures. Even appraisals vary. Some countries they appreciate direct feedback, whereas in other countries they might find it very rude. So it is all about being flexible and aware. Remember Hofstede's six dimensions, the six cultural dimensions? It comes in very handy in IHRM. One unique aspect of this IHRM is the expatriate management, that is, sending employees to work in a different country, like secondments, global secondments, or on site opportunities. It goes by many names. Okay, sending employees to work in a different country, secondment. You might not just hand them a flight ticket and say good luck. Not like that. HR has to arrange visas, give them relocation support, cultural training, and sometimes even help the spouse to find a job, right? It's not easy. That is why managing global mobility has become one of the most strategic parts of IHRM today. Let us not forget the most unpredictable factor also in this IHRM culture, that is culture itself. Culture is not, and when I talk about culture, I'm not just talking about, say, food or festival or fashion. It is about how people think, work, communicate, and make decisions. Like, say, for example, take Japan. Their decisions are made after lots of group discussions. Whereas in, say, US, it is very quick. Individual decisions are more common there. And in India, sometimes we say yes just to be polite, but we actually might mean maybe or no, right? Imagine the confusion all of this can cause in an international team. It's going to be very, very hectic, right? It's going to be a chaos there. So culture affects everything in HR, from how you recruit and train to how you motivate or even reward people. Culture influences all sorts of or all facets of HR. It even influences what people that is employees they expect from their jobs. Like, for example, some cultures they might value work life balance, like in, say, Sweden. Others may not mind long hours, like as India, Indians, workaholic Indians. Some people might want regular feedback, others might prefer not to be singled out. So, HR managers have to adapt their strategies accordingly, or they are going to face high attrition, or even worse, employee dissatisfaction. So, how do HR managers handle all these cultural differences? How should you do it? You are the HR managers of tomorrow. No. So, how are you going to do this? How are you going to handle the cultural differences? Let me know your approaches in the comments. Pause the video and tell me in the comments before you go ahead and hear what I have to say or IGNOU's course material has to say. Okay. Now, so pause it and write the comments. And for those of you who have already paused and written, let's go forward. First of all, how can they do it? They can educate themselves, understand the local customs, the laws, behaviors. Then they can also develop a cultural sensitivity. That is a fancy way of saying don't make assumptions. Have a cultural sensitivity. HR must also encourage an inclusive workplace where everyone feels respected. That means being okay with different accents, habits, holidays, and sometimes even different lunch smells in the cafeteria. That's real. To sum up, international HRM is like HR with a passport. It is dynamic, challenging, and even constantly evolving. It's global, it is strategic, and yes, it is a bit more complicated than your average HR job. But for those of you who are preparing for a global career, mastering IHRM is your ticket to becoming a true HR professional who can work anywhere in the world. So that was the rapid roundup of Unit 1. I hope this was useful for you in breaking the ice about all the important concepts that are discussed in the unit. I hope to see you around in the next video where we'll be talking about Unit 2. Until then, happy learning, and before you go, make sure you subscribe.